The Christmas Bell, a journey inspired by Chris van Allsburg. Christmas is a time of wonder, a season imbued with magic, joy, and belief. Yet, as we grow older, the enchantment often fades, buried under the weight of practicality and doubt. But what if that magic never truly disappeared? What if it simply waited, patient and steadfast, for us to believe once more? This story follows Ethan, a boy on the verge of losing his belief, as he embarks on an extraordinary journey that reminds us all of the power of faith, wonder, and the enduring spirit of Christmas. The night sky was velvet black, dotted with stars that twinkled like tiny shards of glass. Snow blanketed the world in a soft hush, muffling even the crunch of footsteps. 11-year-old Ethan sat by the frosted window, chin resting on his hand, watching the world outside. Christmas Eve had always been his favorite night of the year, until this one. This year was different. Ethan's belief in Christmas magic was waning. He wasn't sure when it started. Maybe it was when his older cousin scoffed and said, "You still believe in Santa?" Or perhaps it was when his parents started using the same wrapping paper for Santa's gifts as they did for theirs. Whatever the reason, the magic was fading, leaving him with an emptiness he couldn't quite explain. "Ethan, come on," his mom called from the living room. "It's time for cocoa and cookies." "Coming," he mumbled, pulling himself away from the window. He trudged into the living room, where the Christmas tree's multicolored lights cast a warm glow. His little sister, Lily, was already curled up on the couch, a cookie in each hand. She still believed. Ethan envied her. As the clock struck midnight, Ethan lay awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. Something about this night felt different. He turned to look at the window, and that's when he saw it. A light. Not the static glow of streetlights, but a flickering, moving light that danced like fire. It grew brighter, closer, until a faint rumbling accompanied it. He scrambled out of bed and pressed his face to the glass, heart pounding. A sleek, black train, its engine gleaming like polished onyx, pulled into view. Its wheels hissed against the snow-covered tracks that hadn't existed a moment ago. A sharp whistle pierced the air, and Ethan's breath caught. The train's door slid open with a creak, and a conductor stepped out, his uniform crisp and immaculate. He looked up directly at Ethan's window and tipped his cap. "Well," Ethan whispered to himself, "I guess I'm going." The cold bit at his cheeks as he stepped outside, still in his pajamas and slippers. The conductor greeted him with a warm smile. "Ethan Richards," he said, consulting a gold pocket watch. "Right on time. Welcome aboard the Christmas Bell Express." Ethan hesitated. "How do you know my name?" The conductor chuckled. "That's our job. Now, hurry along. We've got a schedule to keep." Ethan climbed aboard, the warmth of the train enveloping him immediately. The interior was like something out of a dream, plush red velvet seats, golden fixtures, and garlands strung with tiny bells. Other children filled the car, their faces lit with excitement and wonder. A boy with wild curls leaned over. "First time?" he asked. Ethan nodded. "Where are we going?" The boy grinned. "To see Santa, of course. Didn't they tell you?" As the train chugged along, the landscape outside transformed. Snowy fields gave way to enchanted forests, their trees glittering with frost that caught the moonlight. At one point, the train crossed a bridge suspended over a frozen river, the ice below so clear it reflected the sky above. The conductor moved through the car, punching tickets with a flourish. When he reached Ethan, he paused. still wondering if it's real. Ethan blushed. Maybe. Well, the conductor said, handing back his ticket with a wink, let's see if tonight changes your mind. The train screeched to a halt in the middle of a clearing. Outside stood a towering evergreen, its branches heavy with ornaments that shimmered like captured starlight. At the very top was a single silver bell, its surface so polished it mirrored the scene below. This is it, the conductor announced. The tree of belief. Each of you will receive a bell. Take care of it, for it will remind you of tonight's lesson. Ethan joined the line of children as they disembarked. A man in a red suit stood at the base of the tree, his eyes twinkling behind round glasses. Santa. Ethan's breath caught. He'd imagined Santa before, but nothing compared to the real thing. Santa's presence was warm and commanding, filling the clearing with a sense of peace. When it was his turn, Santa handed him a bell. This, Santa said, his voice deep and kind, is more than a bell. It's a promise. As long as you can hear it ring, the magic of Christmas will live in your heart. Ethan shook the bell, and a clear, melodic chime filled the air. He smiled, a warmth spreading through him he hadn't felt in years. He wanted to ask Santa a million questions, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he simply said, "Thank you." Santa's eyes crinkled with a smile. "The pleasure is mine, Ethan. Never forget, the magic is in believing." The journey back was quieter, the children subdued as they cradled their bells. Ethan stared out the window, watching the enchanted world blur past. When the train finally stopped in front of his house, the conductor tipped his cap again. "Remember, Ethan," he said, "magic is real for those who believe." Ethan nodded, clutching his bell tightly as he stepped off the train. By the time he turned to look back, the train had vanished, leaving only undisturbed snow and the faint echo of a whistle. Years passed, but Ethan never let go of his bell. As he grew older, its chime grew fainter, drowned out by the noise of the world. There were days when work, stress, and the weight of adulthood made him doubt the memories of that magical Christmas Eve. Yet, every Christmas Eve, he would sit by the window and listen. The snow would fall, the stars would twinkle, and he'd hold the silver bell in his hand. And every year, just as doubt began to creep in, he'd hear it, the soft, unmistakable ring of his Christmas bell, reminding him that magic never truly fades for those who believe. As Ethan grew older, he passed the bell to his own children, sharing the story of the Christmas Bell Express. On snowy nights, they would sit by the window together, their faces pressed against the frosted glass, listening for the sound of distant train whistles. And in their wide, believing eyes, Ethan saw the magic rekindled, as if the train might appear once more, just as it had for him. Conclusion. Magic has a way of lingering, even in the face of doubt. It resides in the moments we cherish, the memories we hold dear, and the traditions we pass on. Ethan's journey aboard the Christmas Bell Express reminds us that the magic of Christmas is not just in the gifts or decorations, but in the belief that wonder and joy can endure. As long as we listen, truly listen, the bell will ring, its sound a testament to the magic waiting for us all. This Christmas, may we all hear the chime and remember, the magic is in believing. The Wishing Snow Globe. Introduction. Every Christmas, the small town of Evergreen celebrated with unmatched festivity, its streets lined with glowing lights and snowflakes falling as if cued by nature's script. At the center of the town square stood an antique shop, its windows frosted and warm light spilling onto the cobblestone street. In its dusty interior was an old snow globe, placed prominently on the front counter. This wasn't just any snow globe, the townsfolk whispered it was magical, capable of granting a single wish every Christmas Eve to the person who dared to make it with a pure heart. This year, the snow globe's magic would change the life of an unexpected soul, a young girl named Clara. Clara, 10 years old with curly brown hair that always seemed to defy gravity, walked by the antique shop daily on her way home from school. She loved Christmas, but this year, the season felt bittersweet. Her father, a soldier, was stationed overseas, and their usual traditions were left incomplete without him. She longed for his presence more than she could articulate. One chilly evening, she lingered by the shop's frosted window, staring at the enchanting snow globe. Its tiny village inside looked alive, its houses glowing softly under a canopy of glittering snowflakes. Something about it called to her. "Come on, Clara," her mother said gently, holding a bag of groceries. "It's freezing out here." Clara reluctantly tore her eyes away and followed her mother, but her thoughts stayed with the snow globe. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. The glow of her Christmas tree's lights danced on the walls, but her heart felt heavy. An idea sparked in her mind. If the stories were true, maybe the snow globe could bring her father home. Quietly slipping out of bed, she bundled up in her coat and boots, grabbed a flashlight, and tiptoed into the frosty night. The town was eerily quiet, the streets blanketed in fresh snow. Reaching the antique shop, she found its door locked, but to her surprise, the window she had pressed against earlier was slightly ajar. With a bit of effort, she climbed inside, her breath visible in the chilly air. There it was, the snow globe, resting under a beam of moonlight as if waiting for her. She approached it hesitantly, her hands trembling as she picked it up. "Make your wish," a soft voice whispered, startling her. Clara turned quickly, but no one was there. Taking a deep breath, she held the snow globe close and closed her eyes. "I wish my dad could be home for Christmas," she whispered. The globe's snowflakes began to swirl violently, shimmering like diamonds. The room filled with a golden glow, and Clara felt a warmth spread through her. Then, as quickly as it had started, the magic faded, leaving her standing alone in the silent shop. Disheartened, she placed the globe back on the counter and slipped out the way she came. The next morning, Christmas Eve, Clara woke to the sound of carols and laughter. Her mother called her downstairs, her voice unusually bright. Rushing to the living room, Clara froze. There, standing by the fireplace, was her father, his uniform crisp but his eyes soft with tears. "Daddy," she cried, running into his arms. He scooped her up, holding her tightly. "I missed you so much, Clara." How are you here?" she asked, her voice muffled against his shoulder. "Leave it to a Christmas miracle," he said, winking at her mother. As the family gathered around the tree that night, Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. She never mentioned the snow globe to anyone, but she couldn't help but glance toward the antique shop as they strolled past it on their evening walk. Inside the shop, the snow globe sparkled faintly, as if winking back at her. Conclusion. Sometimes, magic isn't about grand gestures but about faith and love. Clara's wish, born from pure hope, reminded her, and the entire town, that the spirit of Christmas is real. And though the snow globe sat silently in the antique shop, its magic lingered, waiting patiently for the next heart that needed a miracle.